Hey guys, welcome back to Vitality Live. I'm here with my new and improved co-host.
Improved.
VPH, Valérie Parent-Houle. She's our physiotherapist here at Vitality. She's awesome, and she's our new co-host. Kevin is, what's he doing?
He's on vacation.
On vacation, so he's out.
Slacking.
He's slacking. He's freezing his butt off right now with this beautiful winter weather we've got here up in Montreal. So, and there he is, yeah. Kev. So he's watching, he's making sure we're not making fun of him. So this year this is the first podcast or the first Facebook Live of 2018.
It is.
New year. So we decided to talk about
our New Year goals.
New Year goals, right? New Year's resolutions, goals, change, all the important stuff that we tend to, leave towards the end of last year and wait for the start of this year. So, but before we get into that, I just want to recap those from last or just before
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, before Christmas, we did a Facebook Live on hydration. So these are the books: Water and You're Not Sick, You're Thirsty. It's Dr. Batman Henji. And he's an amazing resource on that. They are worth purchasing. We had a couple questions about hydration on that subject, particularly about carbonated water. So I did a lot of research on the carbonation of water. So question was, is it hydrating? And yes, it still is hydrating. It's still water with CO2. Where the pitfalls, where they happen is oftentimes it's hard to drink a lot of carbonated water. So if you're depleted, your cells are depleted, or you're dehydrated, in order to get it back to where you want to be, it's hard to drink a lot of carbonated water because it's a bit bloating. There's CO2, there's gas in it. So if you have any digestive problems, it's also hard with the extra CO2. But yes, it is hydrating. I know for a fact I tend to drink carbonated water towards the end of the day because I just like the feel. I like the
bubbles.
The bubbles, they're great. But yes, it is hydrating. Some of the other rumors around carbonated water was it leaches calcium. The studies are inconclusive on that. So again, if you're trying to if you're 150 pounds and you're trying to hit 3 liters of water a day, I wouldn't recommend drinking 3 liters of carbonated water.
That's heavy.
That's a lot. You might have an upset stomach. But those are the things. It is hydrating, so it is okay to drink. The other pitfall with carbonated water is oftentimes everyone has one of these soda streams nowadays, and oftentimes they give you this little syrup to flavor it.
Oh, yeah.
So I would avoid that because that tends to have a lot of sugar, right? Sugar and stuff. So avoid those syrups. Stick to lemon, water, lemon. Lime, ginger, mint, kind of like they would do at a spa, right?
Yeah.
Cucumber.
Yeah.
If that's going to help you drink your water, go for it. But yeah, that's the kind of the basics on carbonated water. So, as always, if you have any other questions, don't hesitate to ask. If we know the answer, we'll tell you, and if not, we'll
do some research and come back next week.
Exactly. So,
or in this case, next year, right?
So let's get started. We're going to talk about New Year's, New You resolutions. So. Are you a fan of resolutions?
No, I hate resolutions.
I'm not a big fan of resolutions either. I find it's an easy way of, I said, pushing things towards a later date, and I've even been guilty of doing it on a mini resolution on Monday. Be like, I'll start on Monday, right?
And that never usually happens.
And that doesn't happen, right? So that's the trick behind New Year's resolutions. Actually, an interesting fact in a University of Bristol study where they polled 3,000 participants. This is crazy. And about New Year's resolutions. And by January 20th, 80% of the group had already failed. Now, going into the study, this is crazy, again, around New Year's resolutions, they kind of pre-qualified and they asked, do you think it's possible that you will hit your resolution? 52% of the people, so more than 1,500 people, said, I don't think I'm going to hit it, right? So even off the bat, the mindset was that, no, they're not going to follow through on their New Year's resolutions, okay? So this is interesting because in order to make a habit part of your daily routine or part of your everyday life, it takes about 21 days.
Yeah.
So if we think from January 1st to January 20th, they've already failed and they haven't hit that habit forming pattern of that 21 days. So it's a crazy cool study, University of Bristol, but just shows you that New Year's resolutions, they're fun. There's a lot of hype behind them, but they don't. So how do we create lasting change? That's what we're going to talk about. That's what Val and I are going to talk about today.
Well, basically, when you want to create yourself goals, right? And you want to look into the new year and think, okay, well, I want to achieve this or I want to achieve that. And like Shauna was mentioning, how so many people give up or, I don't know, fall out of the habit is because they probably don't find something that's specific for them. So what we want to look at is also what we call SMART goals. So the S stands for specific. So you want to find something that's really specific and meaningful for you. And M stands for something that's measurable. So basically, you want to know when you attained your objective, right? So you want to know, okay, I'll have attained this objective when, I don't know, something happens. So for example, let's say you want to do an Ironman. So it'll be measurable when you attain and when you do the Ironman, right? The A stands for attainable. So you want something that you can attain. You want something that's going to come push you a little bit, but you want to be able to attain it and be proud, right?
You know, part of us in that the psychology of attaining something or creating change is, you want to shoot for the stars, but guess what? Or you want to climb Everest, but there's steps along the way to get there, right? So you want to hit these goals or these achievable, attainable levels. So that's part of that acronym, right?
Yeah. And then after the A, there's the R. So something that's relevant to you, right? You don't want something that's relevant to someone else. If you want to attain that goal, you need to find something that's relevant to you. And the last one is time bound, which is a little tricky. So for example, let's say you want to reach, I was thinking something specific to me. So if I want to be able to improve my cardio and run 5 kilometers an hour, for me, I'd want to run 5 kilometers an hour for maybe like 6 kilometers. Well, I want to be able to do it before the winter ends. So around, March 20th, 21st. So at least I have a time limit that I have to achieve it before that time. So that makes things,
It just makes them more real, right?
Yeah.
When you set a time, when you kind of, okay, so before we get into this whole, this SMART goals, right? So goal setting is super important because it gives you a target to hit, right? So this acronym, this SMART goals, actually kind of makes it more relevant to your world, right? But in order to get to these goals, right, or to set these goals, you have to go through something like we call it, it's realization. So it's realizing the need for change. And now, this realization can be different, it can be different for some people. I'll give you an example of a major realization for the need for change that one of my patients, this is back a few years back, I've treated him for a long time. Anyways, he was a smoker. And obviously he knew he needed to quit smoking, right? So I talked about it, other people talked about it with him, he knew, okay? One day he shows up and guess what? I can smell. He's different. He doesn't smell like smoke. His skin looks better, everything, right? And he goes, I kind of, treat him for a bit. And then I asked, I said, so did you quit smoking? And he says, yeah. He goes, I had to. And I said, oh yeah? Why'd you have to? And he goes, well, I got emphysema. Okay. So this is an extreme example of a realization for need for change, right? So he waited, unfortunately, until his lungs were severely affected. He had emphysema to make a change, right? Now, why? I mean, I'm sure out there, countless of you out there can kind of connect with that. When someone who starts diet and exercise after they get a heart attack, or right. So this is a very it's a dramatic
life-changing experience.
Life-changing realization. But why does it have to be like that? It shouldn't be like that. So what we say is you need to actually take time and reflect, right? Take a look at different areas of your life.
Either your job, your work environment,
exactly.
Relationships, your own happiness, your own health.
Your health, right? So do kind of like a little lifestyle audit and look at different areas for change, right?
Yeah.
So that realization of the need for change can be, it could be as simple as, putting on getting ready for a trip, putting on a bathing suit and be like, ooh, I had a pretty good holiday here and I really need to lose a few pounds, right? That could be your realization for change. It's different for everybody, but you have to be aware and you have to actually take time to look and find those and see, and then we get into the planning, right? The next phase is the planning with our SMART goals, right? So set a goal. An interesting fact about goal setting, this is really cool, in a book written, I forget who it's by, but it's What They Don't Teach You at Harvard. It's actually a really famous book in 1979. Or What They Don't Teach You in Harvard Business School. So they took a poll of a graduating class of who had set goals and who hadn't. Okay, this is crazy. 3% of the group had set specific, measurable, realistic time goals, right? So they had actually taken time to write them down, plan them, write them down. 3%. 13% had goals in mind. And then the other percentage, my math is bad, 87 or whatever it is. I don't know what that is. It 87? Anyways, the remainder percentage, right? They didn't do anything. Okay, this is crazy. So 10 years later, this is nuts. They followed up with that same group of people. The 13% were earning twice as much as the 80 whatever percent. The 3% were earning, with the remainder percentage, the 3% that had written down were earning 10 times as much as the remainder
the
percentage.
84 percentage.
Crazy. Isn't that nuts? So it again, another demonstration of the importance of having these goals, of writing them down, and then going after them. All right, let's go over that. I want to recap that SMART again, because this is really important. So if you have a pen and paper, write it down. We'll put some notes down for it.
Yeah, sure. So your goals need to be SMART. They need to be specific to you and what you want to achieve. They need to be measurable, so you need to know when you've achieved those goals. They also need to be attainable, so the A is for attainable or achievable, something that's going to push you, but yet, be achievable. R is for relevant, so they need to be obviously relevant to you. And T needs to be time bound. The only thing I also want to mention is that make sure your goals are also, you're in control of them. Meaning, for example, let's say you've been working really hard and you really want to get that promotion. You're not in control of whether or not you get that promotion, right? You can do all the right measures and achieve those goals, but the person who makes that final decision might not be you. And therefore, you really want to make sure that you make your goals, that you're in control of them the entire time.
Yeah, okay. And on a side note to that, right? It's still okay to push towards those goals and to put it out into the universe, because in doing that, right, all the right people, places, and things might happen so that you then get that promotion, right?
Exactly.
So, but yeah, there is
a consequence to the end of the goal achieving process.
Exactly. Okay, so now here's the thing about this, right? So goals, having the goals are awesome. Realizing the need for change is awesome. But what do you have to do to actually reach these goals?
You gotta take your step forward. You got to do it.
You got to take action, right? So that's the last kind of phase in any change is to take action. Okay, so what are some simple things that we can do to help us take action? Right?
Surround yourself with good people.
That's the most
talk
important.
about your goals to these people as well. Write them down. Write a journal.
Yeah.
Keep progress.
Yeah, so read them every day, right? So if you have these goals and you've outlined them and you've thought about what you want to achieve, read about them, right? Like Val said, tell really supportive people about them, right? Because they're going to help you stay accountable to those goals. You see nowadays, like tons and tons of support groups. Why are support groups successful? Why is Weight Watchers successful? Why? Because it puts you in contact with like-minded people who are trying to achieve the same things that you're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
So taking action. Val said a really good point, right? What do you have?
A journal.
A journal. Good journal. My wife's going to like this one because I'm notorious for not writing things down. So 2018, I got a new journal. I got a new scheduler. So I'm going to write all my stuff down, and I'm going to follow through and take action. And
remember to read your goal all the time, right? You need to stay focused and not get sidetracked.
Yeah, so reading them, you want to read those every night, right? Because the more they're in there, the more you think about them, well, guess what? In your surrounding, the more you're going to start seeing the right things, the people, the places, the circumstances that are going to allow you to reach that goal.
Yeah.
So it's so cool. So let's recap. What do we got? I'll let you recap.
Well, if you want to enter, I guess, this new year with SMART goals, write them down. Make sure you realize and look at your life. Think about what you want to improve on. There's always something to improve on, I guess. So look at what you have in your life, what you want to improve on, write them down, and then, I'm someone who writes things down and reads them every day. So just make sure you find something that works for you.
Awesome. Yeah, that's so important. Definitely what works for you, what you're interested in achieving, where you want to improve upon. That's the most important thing. So, take before this year kind of runs off and we're into the next holiday or into the next season.
Already January 5th.
It's crazy, right? January 5th. So what we talked about by that University of Bristol study by January 20th. So 15 days, right?
Yeah.
Left before most people have already kicked their resolutions to the curb.
Exactly.
So take some time today. It's it's a weekend. It should be hopefully a kind of a restful weekend for people now that the craziness of the holidays. But do a little bit of a lifestyle audit. Look at different areas of your life that you want to improve upon, whether it's relationships, whether it's business, whether you have business goals, whether you have weight loss goals, health goals,
fitness goals,
friendship goals, right? There's so many different areas of our life that we can improve upon. So just take a look and see, and then do some planning, right? Exactly. Go through that SMART acronym, and then have that map to then guide you.
See it every day. Read it every day.
Read it every day, right? And then the most important thing is surround yourself with positive people that are going to help you attain your goals. Because that can be a tricky one, right? A lot of people don't want you to succeed. So,
it's rude.
But it's true, right? It's scary, but it's true. So, avoid those people while you're trying to accomplish these big goals, and find
kick
groups.
them to the curb.
Kick them to the curb, and find groups of people that do want you to succeed. So, you have anything else to add?
No, I think we covered all aspects.
Yeah. So if you guys have any questions, comments, any feedback for us, don't hesitate, because we love to hear you. We love to hear your voice. It's so important that we hear from you guys, and that you guys help us be better for you.
And answer questions you guys have, and on anything really.
On anything. With that being said, have an amazing 2018. It's like I say, it's going to be a great year for everyone.
It's good winter so far.
It's been a good winter if you like skiing and you like freezing. It's been a good winter, but we're super excited about it. And I want to give a big thanks to Val for her first Facebook Live. She was awesome.
Thanks, Jess.
I don't think Kev will be back. No, we might let Kev come back next week. But I know I'm going away on vacation at the end of January, so I would definitely nominate Val as my replacement.
I can do that.
So keep up the good work, guys.